and the specialization in analytics.
Yes,
So, okay, this being live streamed. Okay. So could you just start with your background? Of course, I've gone through your resume. Tell me what made you go for that? Because it's a new program. I understand it's a new program at IIM B. It's one of the IIMs that has started this specialization. What made you choose that? I mean, what made you go for that?
Sure, sir. Primarily for me, I worked in an IT services industry before I jumped into my field of attraction, which was finance. And working there, I realized that, data, they say that data is the new oil, and that holds because primarily the whole business environment these days is primarily data driven. And that's where data analytics comes in, because it helps you leverage that enormous amount of information that is there in the past to make better decisions or find patterns and trends, as is done in finance industry, right? Even when you're looking at stock investment decisions or investment recommendations, they always look for patterns. Like they try to gauge how the GDP growth, or let's say interest rate increase, or how other macroeconomic factors are going to affect a particular industry or a particular company that they're looking for, right? So given that idea and given that mindset, and also that I want to open a fund one day as my long-term objective, is where I realized that data analysis with its techniques, let's say like a little bit of multivariable analysis, or let's say forecasting techniques, which will be very crucial as in my career in finance. They will play a key role for me, and they will help me stand out in the field that I want to get in.
Okay. So what do you think, what do you expect once you get out of this program? Like, what's your expectation? Like, have you thought about the roles that you'll get to choose in the industry? Like you worked in finance industry, right?
No, sir, I've not worked in the finance industry as of yet. I was working in an IT services industry.
But you are interested in going for finance?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And for that, I completed my level 1 of CFA certification this year. So with that, I hope to understand, let's say, if I'm, because I know even after an MBA, probably I'll be working as an analyst at any role I'll be going, let's say IB, or let's say banking sector also. There, I am sure that I will come across a humongous amount of data and techniques, which I'm hoping to learn from this particular course. I would want to apply them so that I stand out and fast track my journey towards my goal, which is to open a fund one day.
Right. So data science is as you said, it is the thing today. So what do you expect IIM B to teach you? Like, because in 2 years, so there'll be certain requirements. So when you go to the interview, they will expect you to know what are the things you are expected to know. So have you done some homework, and have you thought about what kind of projects, like if you go about what kind of projects are they working in finance, let's say, and what kind of tools they use?
Yes, sir. So I did do up a little bit of a research, and I was actually doing a sort of a small internship with KPMG, which just got ended last week. So I didn't get to work hands-on on any project, but sitting with analysts, I understood that they used to do a lot of corporate valuations, and that needed a lot of forecasting that had to be done, projections that had to be made. So when I was also going through IIM Bangalore's curriculum for this particular program, that I saw that forecasting methods came up a lot in their particular, in their course curriculum. And then I realized that, okay, this would help me particularly when I have to project cash flows for a company, and to value a company, to understand how it is getting its cash. And the second one that I did from my own research was that another place where business analytics would come in is risk optimization, right? So how I manage my risk with respect to my rewards, right? So I think when I read about it, two techniques came up always. One was multivariable analysis, and the other was optimization techniques. So I don't know much about them, but all I understood was that they help you try to mitigate risk by correlating other various types of asset classes, so that you have negative correlations between asset classes, and within asset classes you have high correlation. So that's how you mitigate your risk in a portfolio per se.
Okay. So as you said that the multivariate, that's multivariate analysis. That's not multivariable. Okay, that's the technical name is multivariate. So you have come across those terms. Now, as you prepare for the interview, when is the interview? When is your interview?
28. Both
So
of
you
us are
have
28.
about so you about 10 days left, right?
Yes.
About 10 days. So actually 9 days because it's 19th there. Okay. So I would like you guys to go through some of the intro to data analytics, some Coursera course, just get a feel of what that entails, because that will prepare you to know the jargons. Okay. Like, have you come across the terms called, see, you are telling me about the problems. Okay. What kind of problems the data science is going to help it, right? But those problems are what we have been doing for, let's say, decades, right? In any finance, financial analysis is doing the same thing. They're trying to value a stock. So the change that has happened today is that we have access to a lot more data, and also because of the advent of new computational techniques, we are able to use that data much faster than we could not do that earlier, right? 10 years ago, we didn't have the capacity of CPU that we could process that much data. So there are a lot of techniques that were there. So this machine learning and deep learning, you should know that what is the difference between deep learning, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. Okay. So everything that we do, like artificial intelligence, is even the calculator that we have been using for decades, right? So everything that we can automate is from artificial intelligence. When you go further deep, so machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. Okay. So like if the artificial intelligence is a superset, a subset of that is machine learning, and a subset of machine learning is deep learning. So you should be familiar with these terms. Okay, what is deep learning? And this is not rocket science. Okay, you can just spend some time on one of those courses, and I might forward you some tools too. So know that people should know the jargons. Okay, you should know the data, like what are the different types of data, like you should know what is structured data. Okay, you should know what is unstructured data. Okay, you should be able to know what is Chat GPT built on. Okay, all of us have heard of, right? So what is Chat GPT trained on? So Chat GPT, as you know, is trained on unstructured data, right? So it's a deep learning based model on unstructured data. They have, I think, I forgot, I might be wrong exactly what size data are there, but trillions of bytes of data. Okay, they have trained that model on that, and based on that deep learning model, it's a deep learning model, language model. Okay, so you should know those generative learning models. Okay, what that has done, because everyone is talking about these problems. You should know that it is based on unstructured data. Okay, what is structured data? Structured data is when you know what is Y and what is X. So let's say when you have the data is labeled. Okay, your data is labeled when Y is your dependent variable, right? Let's call that stock price. So you have stock price as your Y, and your X1 could be, let's say your stock price is dependent on interest rate, for example. So X1 is interest rate at that time. X2 is, let's say, unemployment, unemployment in that unemployment figure. Let's say you are forecasting short-term stock price. So short-term is affected on, let's say tomorrow is unemployment figure is coming. So that might affect my price too. Let's say X1, X2, any financial person would know that those data will be labeled. Okay, so that's structured data. Why is it structured? Because there is a Y, and people know that X could be affecting Y because of some theory. So I will run a model where I'll plug in, so like if I do regression, you might have done, if you haven't come across regression, then regression is simply, it's like a, Y and X. If I'm just looking at two-dimensional data. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, guys. So that we can, I hope I can share my screen. Yes, I should be able to share my screen. Let's see.
Yes, you can do now.
Okay, I can do. I share my screen. Okay, hold on. Why don't I see the option, man? Where do I see the option of sharing my screen? Yep, I can do now. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so this is let's say, let's go to, this is something. So regression, if you go for regression, okay, so this is, pardon my, bad drawing. So this is my X. This is, just assume that we have only one X, okay, and one Y, okay, and we have data. You might have seen that, right? You have seen, this is the way data is, and you are trying to find the best line that fits it, okay, right? So these are the points. Let's say stamina. Okay, if I'm measuring stamina on Y, and the training, okay, let's say athletic training. So we would say that there's a positive correlation between that, right? But what is that? So that Y equation, when I try to come up with that equation, Y is A0 plus B X, where X is this guy, okay? And so that's the best fitting line. You should be able to know that when I'm doing that, I'm using structured data, okay? Structured data. So someone has given me the data where I have athletes' stamina measured by whatever, however you measure the stamina, maybe there is some measure, maybe their heart rate, or some measure, they would know, the experts would know, and they will give you the data X, will like how long that person trained. Maybe they will also give, since we are plotting only in 2 dimensions, so if I have 3 dimensions, then I will plot like this. So this will be okay, so I will have 2x1 and x2, okay, and I will have x1 and x2 affect my y, okay, so that kind of thing, like so I will have, this is my y, this is my x1, this is my x2. So when we have multi-dimensional, maybe you will see that y is being affected by 10 or sometimes 20 x's, okay, which we cannot draw here, right? In 3-dimensional we cannot draw, but that would also affect the same, the y will be affected by those also. So when we try to understand our regression, when we try to understand our regression, in that case we use a lot of linear algebra, okay? So linear algebra is something that you would be expected to know, okay? So when in your interview they will ask, that there's something, you gotta have a decent understanding of linear algebra. Why? Because that will help you. Sorry guys, I'm getting a call. Yeah. So that linear algebra is a tool. Similarly, you have to have what extra tool, what other tools do you think they use? But of course, you should be able to guess it, right? What other tools they use, the data analysts?
Statistics.
Statistics, certainly statistics, right? So you have to have the understanding of basic statistics, and that's where this linear regression is one of that. Then you will go for multivariate statistics. When I was saying there are multiple x's, okay, when you have multivariate statistics, multivariate analysis, when you do, then you do, the first thing that people do is regression, okay. Then you would do clustering, okay. So there is something called clustering. You would know how to make cluster. Again, clustering can be done, okay. Clustering can be done when you have again when you have data which is labeled, but we don't know which one is affecting what, okay. So let's say you have zip codes and people's income, okay. So let's say you are trying to find there are zip codes, okay. Let's say zip codes are plotted, like you have different zip codes and people's income, so you can club people together, okay. So that's called like segmentation. So you have data and you are segmenting the data. That's like think about this, like let's say you want to open a gas station, okay. Let's say you are a government policymaker and you want to decide where should we have our let's say police station, okay, police station in a particular region. or police patrolling station. Okay, not police station per se, but so that is addressing we are not wasting extra time, and also we are having the sufficient number of police station or police patrol station, so that our crime, we are patrolling efficiently. So when you do that, you have to create a cluster of households, okay, or neighborhood. How do you do that? So that is one problem that they use data science for, okay, clustering. Okay, then you also do problems like segmentation. When you do segmentation, okay, so that happens in marketing a lot, right? So you are choosing based on your credit score. Okay, let's say a recommender system, for example. Okay, you think about recommender system. Let's say you are a credit card company. Okay, you have, let's say you are city. Okay, and you have people's, okay, this is person. Okay, ID. Okay, everyone has an ID, right? So that ID, now that you can have that you can choose to decide, but you will choose to decide what to recommend to whom. Okay, so it's a recommender system. So for that, why is, okay, why is what to recommend. Okay, what to recommend. Okay, whether to recommend or not. Okay, so why is that? And X1 could be, let's say, there is a very good model which is called recency. So this is recency. I'll tell you what it is. Then your X2 is frequency, and your X3 is, I hope it's clear. The X3 is monetary value. Okay, so that person, how what is the recent, the earliest, when did he buy the last time? Okay, that's one variable. Understand? So this person bought 2 days ago. So I'm trying to find what to recommend. Let's say I'm a Walmart or I'm a Flipkart. I want to go, since I have people's ID, I would not like to advertise, just like I would not like to bombard my recommendation to everyone. Since I'm tracking their buying behavior, I should be able to make sense of it. So the guys who came, you can Google recency, frequency, and monetary value. There's a paper. So the guys who first time saw that, okay, since let's try to make a model. Let's see how it affects. So that's how data science works. Okay, so when you go to an industry, the experts will think, okay, we are getting this data. All right, so we have this three data types. We have this three data, that let's see how that affects our recommendation. Recency makes sense. Like when was the last time this person came to our store? Second is frequency. How frequently within a certain time frame? Let's say how frequently every month or every 3 months this person comes. Okay, maybe 3 times, 4 times. And then what is the monetary value? How much that person spends on every visit on average? And they said that based on that, we would like to give them some discount. Okay, like based on that, and that model is a very popular model. So understand. So in a credit card company, similarly, when you do segmentation, you have to figure out, a lot of people are coming to your store. What should you promote them to buy? Okay, so that segmentation will be like, you would have your customers' age. Okay, what products they are buying on often, right? And then how much they are spending. How much time they are spending on your browser, and what all items they are actually saving on. Everything is being tracked. Okay, everything is being tracked. Now let's say I have been in this industry. Assume that someone is saying that I've been in Walmart for 20 years. So the person did their MBA long back, and they are like super smart. They have amazing understanding of the business. Okay, but with the advent of data science, it's hard for them to keep up. Okay, so when they have that kind of data, they would look up to you guys. Okay, when you go out, so you have to position yourself in such a way that, yeah, I have to understand that I'm gonna bridge the gap between this person who is a seasoned professional in that industry, right? Because you cannot replace their expertise. So they are the problem. They can see the problem. They have an insight that it's hard. It has come to them after spending years. They would come to you and say, hey, I think we have a lot of data coming to us, and is there something you guys can do? And you would look at it as a problem where you have data. You will ask technical questions. Do we have access to this data? Okay, where will we, where will we store this? Okay, what kind of operating system will be using? What kind of processing power we need for that? All those kind of data, and how often the data can be updated. So again, that you have to try to position yourself that we will be understanding not only the technicalities, but we should be able to converse. We should be able to converse with these experts also, or we should say that why don't try something. If we have access to this data, we are proposing we can run a model, test whether y is being affected by these x's. That kind of thing. You have to think about positioning yourself. Another example I will give you, like in manufacturing. Okay, in manufacturing, there was an example of, let's say, Western Digital. You might have heard of, right? Western Digital is a hard drive company. Okay, hard drive. They make hard drive, portable hard drive, and they are very popular, company. So they were doing one project in which what used to happen. So they, like, when you manufacture, in manufacturing, there's a process going on, right? Let's say one hard drive is going from, let's say, at the beginning, let's say it's A to Z. It has been, it's been going through a lot of processes. Like, it's all automated, right? It's all automated. It's going from A to B to C to D, and it's all automated. It's all automated process in that manufacturing plant, right? Same thing happens with a lot of cars, and manual parts is there, but a lot of things are automated. Then what used to happen? They found that they had, like, of course, everything is being recorded, right? So there are cameras here, and all through process cameras, it's been recorded. They found that at one point, at E, after E, there were a lot of warranty claims were happening. Okay, for some of those products. Okay, so some of those products were having some warranty claims. So they threw this problem to, I'm discussing it with you just to give an example of a real world problem with one of my friends who is working in this industry. So he said that the chief marketing officer, they came to us, to our team, and they were saying that we are having a lot of warranty claims for our hard drives, which are manufactured in this process. What do you, and we have the recording of all the processes. Okay, so what do you think you can do? So they said that, okay, give us those. We will do some data crunching, like initial data cleaning, and we will suggest what could be done. Okay, so what they did was, they saw that, they first understood that what should be the excuse me, let's say, if the hard drive is coming at this point. Okay, that machine is drilling something here. There is an error. Okay, so there is an error which is allowed, right? There's an error which is allowed in any manufacturing process, right? Even in drug manufacturing, right? If you want, let's say, in any drug, a certain, let's say, sodium has to be 0.03 grams. It might not be 0.03 grams for every capsule. There are some errors happening which are allowed. So similarly, they found
tolerance,
right? So that's the same thing here also is there. And they found that the moment, so with that video, they made a model where the moment, again, their solution was, the moment they see that particular hard drive, any particular hard drive where this tolerance level was exceeded for that drilling, for whatever, that will be shifted to, inspection, automated. They had automated that. So what happened? That saved them like millions of dollars a year, because what happened, this will go to a customer, take care of that. So that process was one good project was there. So think about problems like this and be able to explain. Once you do this, you have to tell that the real thing will be when you are gearing up to do projects. Okay, so in a lot of top programs, like if you go for, let's say, Georgia Tech or MIT programs of data science, they give 6 credits. Okay, 6 credits of practicum. Okay, what is so that practicum? They have collaborated with, and I'm sure IIM B would also do that. They have collaborated with industry players, and they do 6 credits on live projects with industry, and that's real learning. So uh, I think I've been talking for a while. I would like you guys to chip in and tell me, um, have you guys looked at any online certifications on data science, and what are your thoughts about that?
Sir, as of now, I haven't looked after like any data science courses.
Mhm. So you should, I mean, before going to the interview, see that there are a lot of, like, let's go here. Let's say, if I go to Coursera, okay, or edX, and you say that data science, there are so many courses. Okay, so even like MIT Professional Applied Data Science program. Okay, I would like you to just go and just look at their syllabus. Okay, what programs are there, what people are doing, because the my understanding is the good thing you will get if you go to IIM B is that you will have a structured approach. Okay, I mean, I'm telling you because why it is a thriving area, and why, if you are choosing to invest 2 years of your time and money, what you should expect out of it. So one thing will be that it'll be a structured approach, no doubt, and the faculty will be top notch. That is something that people lack. So you might on to yourself, you can discuss with yourself, why should I invest 2 years? Why not just take an analyst job, or and start doing in my part time some work, some project. But that's hard to do. Okay, that's hard to do while you are. So it'll be like, for some of you will be changing fields, right? You are in one industry, you are going to data science industry. So even in your company, let's say you are working in a very big company, let's say you are working in Flipkart, okay, and let's say you are working in the IT side, and you want to go for the data science. It'll be hard for you to sell that, I want to go to the data science. So that degree will give you that platform, that it'll let you, put your foot in the door. Okay, so you will be able to leverage that. I am trained for 2 years. And the second thing is that you would learn all the techniques. Okay, whatever. So you need 3 things: statistics. You need to have understanding of statistics at, I would say, certainly at a reasonably graduate level. Okay, so you should have basic understanding of statistics, so that you should know uh, multivariate statistics. Okay, you should be able to understand what is regression, what is clustering, what is segmentation. All those things you should be able to do. And then you should know, of course, programming. You should be able to do some programming, like whatever statistical models you are learning. Okay, you should be able to code it, okay, through using any programming language, like and there are a lot of libraries that you would get to know about. This R and Python, these are two widely used. Python in particular off late, because there are so many libraries, there's so many communities. There are a lot of things that are happening that people who are not keeping up, so if you graduate today, maybe after a year or two, you might find that what you learned, there is a better method to do the same thing. So you would have to keep up with that. So think of this degree as a launching pad. The journey would just begin. I know people who are in data science industry for 10 years, okay, 12 years, and when they move, they find that we are it's more all the more exciting. But they say that I have to put in some extra time to learn this new one, and it's not hard. It's fun for them. So it's it's an exciting and thriving area.
Sir, as a part of when I was working, so as part of a project requirement, I had to do something called work on a big ID platform, right?
Mhm,
So I had done one of their courses, which was a big ID biz user or something.
mhm,
Basically, that entailed me trying to fetch the data from
mhm,
various databases all across the world and try
mhm,
to label them and cluster
mhm.
them. Basically. So should I talk about that in my interview also if
Yeah,
I get the chance?
I mean, if they say that, have you, let's say, they might ask you why, they would certainly, maybe they will certainly ask what made you, pursue a master's in data analytics, because they would expect you to do your homework and answer this question. So you should be able to understand that, okay, I have, let's say someone is electrical engineering, one of you are electrical engineering background, right? So you see that I have been, trained as an engineer, and I have been, familiar with a lot of techniques, and I see that with the advent of this, so you should build a story around that. The skills that I have learned in my engineering times, there is a huge application of that in data science, and it's an app. It's a burgeoning industry, and I have looked at the projects, and just to get a feel of how I like it, I did this project and then talk briefly about that, and I found that there are a number of problems that going to be solved using these techniques, and it's going to make the whole system much better. And I want to be part of that. I want to be part of that journey. So yeah, make it. I'd say that that has excited me. I see that I learned some of the things, and I think this program will help me get a better understanding of. It'll equip me better to. Yeah. All right. Any other questions?
Yes, sir. As my experience, like my work ex is not related to like data analysis or something, because I am currently working in a manufacturing industry. I'm in Honda cars. So, but I have done a project like in which we have done the risk assessment of all our suppliers. Okay. So in that case, I have gathered like large amount of data and deduced some results out of that. So that was basic. Like on Excel that we have done. But it was like the decisions that we took on them were huge. Like we assessed that how risky the supplier may be in future. So from like if I have to like drive the interview, like since I have done this thing, that was a small thing, and I have interest in numbers or statistics. So because I don't have any background, I haven't done any coding or Python or anything. So I must do something like drift to numbers or statistics. That these areas are my strengths. So should that be like?
Right. So you should don't take it as a disadvantage, or you are you are lacking in something just because you don't have. That's why you are going for this degree. So you have to sell your story in such a way that after having worked in this manufacturing industry, right, which
Yes,
is
sir.
huge application of data, right? So you can say that a lot of times we come across, we know that we have data, and I have a lot of times we have to go to the data scientists, and when they converse with us, a lot of times I want to understand the both sides. So I have this manufacturing side. So see, in data science, not everyone becomes data engineer. Okay, like the data engineer, data scientist. Okay, and then we have data analysts also. Okay, so there are a lot of people who I mean, in the industry, there's a requirement of people who understand the business side, and they know how to translate that to the data scientists. Okay, because data scientists are like, they're number crunchers. Okay, so they're like, give them some data and tell them what you want to get. They will just look at the data and they will ask some questions, but they don't have the insight. Okay, they will not be able to just look at that and see what kind of question asked. You have to tell them what to ask. So if there is a guy who understands, let's say I'm the bridge between the top management. Top management has a lot of things to do, right? They have, let's say there's a CFO, or chief marketing officer, or even VPs. They don't have time to sit with numbers and not do numbers. They will have some idea that, okay, we want to, let's say, start a new credit card. Okay, let's say this guys, someone said that we have one extra million budget for next year. Do you think we should start another credit card for certain segments? Maybe for some farmers, or who have better credit score or something like that. I'm just giving you an idea. Now that question should be able, someone has to translate that to the actual data scientists. Like, that question has to be formulated in a way that data scientists can solve. So you can position yourself that I want to be able to do some research and find that I want to be able to bridge that, gap. I want to be able to understand the business aspect. I have a fair amount of understanding, and I want to see how these data scientists are doing our job and be able to leverage both skills, and with time you would learn it. But maybe there are a lot of people who do the data science things, they don't do actual coding later on, but you would know. It's like you will make your, get your hands dirty. Then when you talk to them, when you talk to data scientists, they will be more confident working with you. They will know what you're talking about. You understand? Like if I'm working under someone and they don't even understand what tools we are using, and they're just saying that, oh, you can do this, that doesn't inspire people. So you would like to become someone who knows their jargons, and that's why a lot of people are doing it too. So you have to build a story like, and the programming language, since anyone can. I have seen people. I've seen people with any background, like people with people background in psychology, and people with background in accounting. They are doing science, data science, and they are doing it very well. They're like getting 4 out of 4 at places like Georgia Tech, and it's a tough course. I know it's a tough course. So it's doable. It's not rocket science, as long as people are willing to learn like basic statistics, linear algebra, and basic Python programming. So you should understand that, what are the key skills that are expected of a data analyst. How they might ask you, how have you developed? If what are the most important skills for a data analyst? Okay, that is basically looking at data, getting data, and being able to get patterns out of it. Okay, so that's like, you give me certain data, and you will ask some questions. It involves like data cleaning, right? Let's say you give me data of customers with credit score. You have, let's say, 1 million customers. You are Citibank. You have 1 million customers data, but some of the customers have not been using their cards for, let's say, 6 months or 7 months, 8 months. So which customers data will you delete? Because every time you are deleting data, you are losing some information. So that's, you got to do data cleaning. When you do data cleaning, and then you have to iterate. Okay, you have to choose some models based on it. It's like going back and forth. You would not have one solution that you would apply to all problems or a set of problems. Maybe you'll have to use it as one attempt. Okay, I'm trying to use this model. Let's see how because you can run a model. You can, first of all, you can think about a model, and you apply that model with that data, okay, and see what is the result, and then you test. Okay, so the real analysis would be when you test the model and see how accurate it is. Okay, so if it is accurate, then you will suggest it to policymakers that, okay, this is our model, we tested our data on that. So that there's something called, when you test the data, okay, you can learn that also. I mean, you would certainly, that'll be in one of the first classes, okay, first courses, like when you have data. So data modeling. So you will train the data, okay? So training set, okay? Training set and test set, okay? So training, and you have a test set. So you don't train the entire model, like you don't train the model with the entire data set, okay? So that you keep the test set. This is, so let's say your 80% data is used to build the model, okay? So train the model. And then 20% you will test, okay? So that you are testing from the same data set and seeing how accurate I have done. You understand? Like that can, and once that the test set accurately says that our result is, now, when do you say my data set, my training set is, tested properly? That is depending on the industry, right? Sometimes even if your test set gives you accuracy of 60%, that also is a lot in certain situations. Okay, actually quite a good thing. If something can, I don't want to get into the technicalities, but some people might say that, okay, your test set is good, or your model is good only if the test set is 80% accurate or 90% accurate. Not necessarily, because whatever model we are using, there is always an error. Okay, there is always an error involved, because we are not capturing all the information. We are not capturing all um, dependent variables. Okay, all independent variables. So basically, there are all attributes. So a person's Y, let's say if Y is my credit score, there are so many X's that I would not get, data on a lot of X's. Okay, this is not, so I might try to capture as much as possible. There'll always be a big error. Okay, so my model, even if it gives certain accuracy, depending on my problem, those kind of things are where the expertise in the industry is required. Okay, so let's say you are a person who is trying to understand the cancer. Okay, based on some tumors, like which tumor is benign, which tumor is malignant. Okay, so if you make one error, if you do false positive, false positive is like there is a person who doesn't have it, but you are giving that test that has some problem. Maybe that person has to go through extra 2-3 tests, and that was a false positive. Okay, that person didn't have a cancer. But false negative, that is more expensive, right? Because your test gave a false negative. That means the person had the cancer, that was a malignant cancer, but it was given as negative. That has a huge repercussions on that. So you would like to avoid as much false negative as possible. And sometimes false positives, it's okay. You are just that person was tested positive, and the next 2 tests, it's highly likely that they will say that the first test was wrong. You are cancer free. Understand my problem, my point? So that kind of thing, again, those things come with the expertise in that area. So you always have to decide which side you are going to go. So if you are going for this program, choose your industry, like figure out which industry you would like to go for, and then read about what kind of problem, how data science is affecting that industry. And that will really help you once you go halfway through the program. And then you will start, choosing your projects in those lines. And that will be something you can leverage when you sit in the interviews, after graduating. Or, it's something that people have to understand what industry I'm going for in the data.
So, sir, even while I was preparing for my level 1 certification, like the quantitative methods part, like we have a whole set of chapters under quantitative methods. I think I think there were 8 chapters, out of which 7 were based on statistics itself. One was in hypothesis testing, and the last one was introduction to simple linear regression itself. So probably I can talk. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think you have decent. You can say that. Yeah, I have a decent understanding of regression. So you understand. So that, like, what kind of statistics are descriptive statistics, inferential statistics, like prescriptive statistics. Okay, descriptive statistics. You should be able to talk about it. You just give me data. I'll talk about what there is. Okay, what's the mean, median, mode, and talk about what is the correlation between two things. Then inferential is give me the data. I can infer what can happen, right? And then prescriptive is I can not only infer, I can actually tell you what to do to affect some Y, right? Prescriptive statistics. So in data science, prescriptive statistics is also used. Inferential is to, let's say, for policymakers, they see that there's huge unemployment. Suddenly or let's say prices are increasing, okay? Like the inflation is touching. So they are like, they're scratching their head. They would like to know what is going on, right? So they have to give them the data, and the statistician or analyst will tell them, this is causing this, okay? This has inferred this. And then they'll say, what should we do? Again, these are like hypothetical questions, not as easy, but there is another set of guys who would say, maybe raise for short term, increase the interest rate, that will affect, whatever. That's like that they're prescribing what to do, by what percentage. Okay, everyone will say that, in economics, we have studied that increasing the interest rate when the inflation is high, that's the first thing to do, but by what percentage, So that prescriptive guy will say. So yeah, I think you would have a good understanding of that. Yeah. Hypothesis testing, and then you have to stay up to date with the latest data analytics techniques. I mean, so talk about the basic, read a little bit about the program that I tell you, right? Like, what are the programs that are, what are the different types of models? Maybe you don't have to, but just say that Python, go to maybe Stack Exchange, you can go to, actually, I would really like you to go through the syllabus of this and see what makes, try to, or maybe put some question to Chat GPT. Okay, what are the things, what are the things you can ask Chat GPT? What should we, learn? What should a data analyst be focusing on? A budding data analyst. What are the things in data science that are expected them to succeed well in the program, and what is expected out of them? You see what. So now we are in a much better time, and you'll see that it gives some good answers. Yeah. And you have to build a story around that. Some of the questions they will certainly ask, like why you are pursuing it. So say that based this background, write, maybe practice it yourself. Write a coherent story, because everyone wants to, like when you are on the other side, when you are interviewing something, you would like to know that the person has done the homework, and they are able to write the story very well, that I want to do this because this, and these are the skills that are required to succeed in that training, and I have this, I might be lacking in this, but I'm working towards that. So a very coherent story. Like if I'm accounting background, I do not have programming skills, but I know that from my a lot of research, I have found that it's not a, it's a high level programming. Okay, so it's not like programming in C, and it's not like programming in C. It is a lot of libraries that are built. Like for my regression, if I have to do, again, this is for your understanding, you don't have to explain like that, but as long as you are confident yourself that I can do. So when in Python, when you have to do regression, you just call the library, okay, NumPy, and those libraries, and just call it once, make your x's, y's, you call it once, it'll throw the entire result. All you have to do is be able to interpret it. And that is, so it's not a programming like we do in hardcore, lower level languages like C and those things. It's a tool. It's used as a tool. Just knowing the tool will not make it. You have to know the theory behind it, the theory behind the data science, and know all the techniques that have evolved over the years. And of course, that those you would understand only when you have a sound understanding of statistics, and also when it becomes, the variables are becoming more, and which they will, when you have many variables, then you have to go, to be able to present your equations, I think you need to resort to linear algebra. So that will come there.
So I think we should also read up about Chat GPT 3 versus the GPT-4 that they recently released.
Yeah, as long as, yeah, exactly. So talk about like what could be, like the Chat GPT 3 was launched in November last week, I think final week, and then just GPT-4 was launched a few days ago. So it is dramatically different compared to that. And so yeah, if you can talk about it, like what made you interested, you say that we are it is a quite a change. It could be seen as, after maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe this time will be considered as a historic moment when we have this kind of things are happening. A lot of people are saying, they might ask you, what do you think? Or a lot of people asking, do you think that education industry is banning these things is good thing? What should be their policy? Just to think, like education industry, or do you think a lot of jobs will go obsolete? And read about it. There are thousands of people talking about that. Some people are saying how it is going to affect some people, but I am hopeful that it would not. It would only enable smart people to save time and work, because there's no substitute for creativity in any job. Okay, So there are limitations of ChatGPT. We should be aware of that, and it will save time. Let's say if I have to write, a letter, a simple letter, I would just, I would save maybe 90% of time if I just do it with it, and I spend my time analyzing my other higher level problems. So we should be able to use that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Any other questions?
Sir, as you mentioned the example of WD, so
Mhm.
do we have any in any example in Indian manufacturing industry that with data we were able to increase the operational efficiency? Like e-commerce sites, they do their warehousing on basis of this whole data thing.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Yeah.
and Asian Paints, they do their whole supply chain based on data, that which
Mhm.
time
Mhm.
which kind of paint will be used. So is
Mhm.
there any example that I should be quoting, like a
I
good
mean, if you can, I'm not aware of any. Yes, I'm not stayed in touch. And that example I gave you because I have a friend who's working in that country. Sometimes when we talk about okay, what's going on. So but I'm not. But I'm sure there are. You can talk about even the problems that any manufacturing. mm, Yeah, a lot of things must be happening in like car manufacturing, a lot of automation. Wherever there's automation, no, wherever there's an automation, right, they have a lot of data, and when they're finding something, of operational efficiency is depending upon, like what happened is there is one error in my process that is creating more defects, right? So I got to
yes
fix
sir,
that.
yes.
How do I know? Because it's not a person doing it. It's like we have automated it, and there is one small error in the code or whatever that is making that error wider. How do I spot it? So it is something very logical to think about, but the application, maybe you do some research, you might find out. Or maybe you just think about a problem deeply enough, and you can yourself come up with some hypothetical problem that you can suggest. So there are a lot of areas. Okay, so computer vision is one big. So the computer vision is one area. Then in one example that I came across recently in marketing. So my area is marketing. Okay, so my PhD was in marketing. My minor was in econometrics. So I'm more on the quantitative marketing side. So we use a lot of data. Now there is another field that has come, which is called neuromarketing. Okay, so in neuromarketing, what people are saying that a lot of times people are when you give survey to people, they just do just tick tick tick. They hardly read the question, even if you give them incentive to participate in that, right? Like first of all, a lot of us don't take part in survey, we just trash it. But even if sometimes they are giving us, okay, let's say 100 rupees or 200 rupees coupon to take it, or ask us to participate in the survey, and they will put it in a pool of for lucky draw, okay, something like that. Even when people are doing that, you don't know how many of them have answered that seriously, by going through that question, and how many have just stick just like that. So there is one app that is being developed where the when you're taking it on your phone or your camera anywhere, sorry, a phone or your iPad or even on your computer, it will ask you to turn on your camera uh, just to see your pupil movements. Okay, and there's a very good paper that has come up where they are saying that based on your pupil movement, they can see whether you are, let's say I'm happy about the product. When I'm saying I am how did you like our last customer service, so when you're really happy, your pupil movement will be different than when you are sad. So it is trying to, so one will be your answer, the customer has given 5 out of 5 and this thing. Another will be to support or not support. If you have really answered it correctly or genuinely, then your pupil movement will support that, and then I will take only those surveys seriously and made my decision. Understand? So that is one interesting area that is coming in. Customer feedback. Yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of work going on in that. Also, you have to, talk about like how do you work with people who have no understanding of data science. Okay, so try to build a story around that. Also, there are a lot of stakeholders who don't understand it, the power, but everyone talks about, like, so it's a buzzword now, right? Like data science. Everyone say that we are using machine learning, and this. When you are a decision maker, and if you're throwing those jargons, you don't understand that. How would you talk? How do you talk to them? Okay, so that is something that you have to uh, be able to talk about. So they don't have the technical knowledge or understanding this area. They're using it generally. You have to be able to explain these to what are the limitations, right? That sometimes you don't have access to data. You cannot do that unless you have access to data. You cannot do that. You have to explain it to stakeholders. You have to identify those requirements, and you understand that. Tell them that we need such certain KPIs. Then only we can do the project. Then, and also a lot of times the projects you will do, the results might come after 1 year or 2 years. So they have invested in that for 2 years. They have had, let's say, 5-10 analysts working on it, and how much should they invest? So you got to be sure of the methods that you're using. Its output is measurable, and the time that it takes is also, reasonably short. Yeah. So I think you guys will be fine. It should be fine as long as you, as I said earlier, build a story around your profile, why you want to do it, and there's no harm in saying that it's a thriving area, and there's a lot of high-skilled people required. Maybe you can throw some figures also, find some figures, people who are really skilled in these with techniques, and who have an understanding of the problem. So you can just build this story that I have worked in the industry for this many years, and a lot of times I have tried to upskill myself, using these online courses and Coursera, edX, name these things. Okay, and I found that.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sir. Sorry to cut you in the middle. For the both of us itself, I think would it be a good this thing that we look at certain techniques that our industry uses in data analytics, and then we say that in an interview?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, certainly.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, sir.
certainly. Yeah, as long as you do that, that means you can justify this thing that I'm going for it because despite me, I'm working full time and I've been trying to upskill myself, and I see that these skills are valuable for my industry in problem solving, because a lot of problems, if I have access to data, we can solve it, because it'll be like the solutions are right there. I can explain it to it, so there won't be subjectivity involved. So what could be better than that? But the problem is that there are a lot of the learning curve is steep uh, for someone who is working full time, and I am looking forward to this opportunity to upskill
Right.
myself. Just that kind of thing.
Sure,
So
sir.
yeah, just so that will help you, right? That how would you position yourself, as you would do well in that program, and you give an example of the industry that you want to work in, and think about some problems in that industry that can be solved efficiently, much better using data science. That will be a very good story that will sell.
Sure, sir.
All right, guys. I think Ramanus has left. I think maybe he had something else to go. So I think if you have any other questions, let me know. Otherwise, I think uh, we've discussed almost everything that that came to my mind. I mean, I could go for hours, on this thing. It's something that's fascinating, but I think you guys will have some other things to do too.
Sir, would it be possible for you to share your email ID so that if at all we have any doubts, we can just
Oh
mail
yeah,
it over
sure. You can add me on you can add me on
Or
certainly.
okay,
Yeah,
or we
it's
could ask it on the group itself that we are added, right?
that's fine. I mean, you can
For
email
sure.
me too on my. I'm gonna in the chat. I'm writing my email ID. You can email me. That's fine.
Okay, sir.
Or
So
you can
maybe, sir,
send
we
me.
can connect on LinkedIn so
Yeah,
that
LinkedIn also is
even in
fine. Yeah,
future.
Yes, sir.
yeah. Then yeah. And there's nothing like network. So IMB will offer you the opportunities to network also. Even if it is a new program, it will become a hot program. Okay? It will become a good program. So I would, if I were you guys, I would give my best if once get there, or yeah, network well.
Sure, sir.
All right. All the best, both of you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
taking out the
sir.
time.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes,
You're
sir.
welcome.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye-bye.